Okay, this chapter is really focused on the impact of media. So I'm going to start with the immediate impact on rhetoric section. So one thing I want to note is my printing press comes back over and over. There's a reason I'm obsessed with the printing press. And the printing press made it possible for mass literacy, right? So individual people now have access to at least the Bible. And the Bible, because they've heard the sermons they've heard scripture over and over, they figure out how to take what they have memorized from church into reading ability. So we've got a more literate populace, and then additional medias start developing. So the radio, the television, all of these other forms of capturing communicative acts and then sharing communicative acts come out. And so rhetoric changes along with all of that. And we go back and say, well, books are rhetorical and newspapers are rhetorical, and newspapers have been around for a very long time, and pamphlets, and how media is defined gets bigger and bigger and bigger, not just because we're creating, humanity is creating more media, but because the new media or new mediums, so television, radio, film, eventually the internet, are making humanity realize from an ontology perspective, what is the function of this? What are we capturing? And so then we look, and literature has been doing that for thousands of years. Literature existed. I mean, we can go back to Beowulf. Beowulf is so old, and it's capturing a certain story, and it's capturing ontology, and it's arguing epistemology on behalf of ontology. It's saying, here are the ways that, and so this is Old English times. In Old English times, people understood what it meant to be, and that's why Beowulf is this epic hero story. And then here's how we communicated it. So you can see the oral components of it, and then it was written down. And so you can see the written components of it and why they functioned the way that they did. So we're going back to books, we're going back to literature, we're really raising questions of ontology. What does it mean to be human right now, and how does media capture that? How does media share it? How does media as the medium rhetorically argue for that? And then how do the messages that are possible through that medium rhetorically argue through that medium? But throughout this entire time period, we have a lot of issues with access and socioeconomic status. Lower class citizens had less access to literacy practices. Upper class then started really holding them firm. We're the ones who can read. We're the ones who can read and write in the right ways. We're the ones who can access it. We're the ones that can access text in the books. I mean, you can see all of my books. This is a privilege. This is a ridiculous privilege that I have. So socioeconomic status and difference in literacy practices, very stark in this whole entire period. And then when we see with televisions, who has the economic means to purchase a television and who doesn't, who has access to radio and who doesn't, who has access to the production behind all of these, who's kept out of the production. Quite honestly, this is going to come up a few times, the writer's strike is partly connected to this. Writers are striking because AI has more access to the writing room than writers do. And writers are like, this isn't right. None of this is right. Actors are on strike for similar reasons. If their image is taken once, I mean, these videos, they're on YouTube. My image could be used for all sorts of other things. What does that mean, and what does that look like? But that's still connected to who has access and who has the privilege to create that. And that's where rhetoric comes in with ontology. What does it mean to be human during these times in relation to and through medium?